Yes, today for the Board of Trustees July 8th meeting. If we could please start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first we'll start with public comment. If anybody not on the agenda wants to come on up, you have 3 minutes. Introduce yourself and go ahead and talk.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Roman Grigoriev. I'm currently in the running for the Township trustee position as a Democrat. I'm a complete newcomer to politics. I have always been interested, but always on the sidelines, so to speak. And I'm very impressed with the way this township has been run. I have watched a series of YouTube videos with your meetings, and the cohesion between you is very admirable.
Thank you.
So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll close public comment. Next, we have the board minutes of June 24th. Unless there's any changes, I'd look for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Kalinsky, support by trustee Barnett. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. And next, we have presentation of the Bloomfield Hills School and Millage on the August primary ballot. And we have new superintendent Rick West here.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Walsh, members of the trustees of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to come out tonight and talk specifically about one issue pertaining to the school district, but also introduce myself to the community, the township, as your new superintendent of schools. I am very honored to take over that role. I began last week and look forward to the work ahead and working with our Board of Education as well as the trustees on this board and in the city of Bloomfield as well, and making sure we have strong partnerships, because I know that strong partnerships with the township and with the community make strong schools and vice versa. So I am committed to forging those relationships with all of you as elected officials, working hand in hand with our Board of Education and all of our stakeholders to make this the wonderful place I know it is to live, and I'm just honored to take over the leadership position of the school district. With that, we have a very important initiative on the August 6th ballot, which is our operating millage renewal proposal. I would welcome all constituents, anybody listening to this, to visit our website at www.bloomfield.org/vote, and all of the information, factual information, is posted there. I'll just briefly go through it tonight. We have a 20-year operating millage renewal on the ballot August 6th. Our millage renewal doesn't actually expire until 2025, but strategically we wanted to stay off of the November ballot, and we would have only had one additional opportunity without having to pay for the election, which would have been November 2025, and we just strategically thought August 6th of this year would be the most appropriate time to ask the taxpayers to renew our operating millage. We are asking for a 20-year, which is a little bit different than years past. Typically, it's been a 10-year renewal. We have worked with legal counsel and strategized with our Board of Education of how we can make continuity of services the best possible, and making it as long as possible before another renewal, I think strategically works in the best interest of the school district to bring some continuity and make sure that we are funded for years to come. With that, this is just a renewal. It's a renewal of the 18 mil non-homestead millage and the hold harmless millage. I'll spare anybody the details behind the hold harmless. Please reach out to my office if you want the details behind that. But this does equate to about $34.7 million of our $110 million operating budget. So it is very important to the school district for our operations of the school district. Again, it is on the ballot for August 6th, and all the factual information is on our website. So again, thank you for having me. I will entertain any questions if the trustees, I don't know if that's the way we engage here, but I'll answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, I thank you for the opportunity. And again, welcome the reciprocal relationship. If you need spot on our board agenda and you have initiatives, please, we want to work together to make sure that this is the best community, particularly from my interest in making sure that our kids are serviced. So with that, I'll entertain any questions or...
I thank you also because you are letting our police chief, or either our captain or our chief, will be on
Yeah.
your next one talking about
Yes,
the millage
yes,
as well.
July
I appreciate
22nd.
that. Anybody have any questions for Rick?
Just welcome to Bloomfield Schools
Thank you.
and happy to have you here.
I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure so far. I like it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So next we have consider the resolution ratifying order reducing principal amount, receiving bids and awarding special assessments by Treasurer Schostak.
All right. So, as this board knows, we went to market at the end of June to sell roughly $18.5 million worth of bonds to fund the first two districts in the village for their road improvements, not repairs, improvements, replacements, probably the better way to put it, their road replacement. And so we were able to consolidate those districts into one bond offering for a little over $18.5 million. As part of that process, we went before S&P, Standard & Poor's, which is the leading ratings agency in the country. And we are very gratified to once again have our AAA bond rating reaffirmed. And I'll just highlight one of the things that they said in their report. They said that the township's very strong management with strong financial policies and practices that underpins continued operational strength through effective measures such as long-term financial and capital planning and formalized investment, debt management, and reserve policies. I'd highlight that we are one of the few municipalities in the state to have a AAA credit rating. That is, of course, the highest that you can get. So armed with our AAA credit rating, we went to market on June 25th for our bonds. We received 13 bids by the cutoff time, which was a lot more than that has been recently. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that our offering was a much bigger size. So we got some players like UBS and a couple of other big names that don't typically play in the smaller bond offerings. But UBS was our low bidder, so we awarded the bond through them. So it's a competitive sale process. So we accepted closed bids from anyone that wanted to make a bid. We advertised the sale in, the official bond buyer news magazine, which is how all the bond buyers know what they want to get. And of course, put it on the municipal the bulletin board for all of the municipal bond offerings. So as I said, we got 13 offers or bids rather. We selected UBS out of New York, which was the lowest bidder, and they came in at a net interest cost of 3.618%. And so, as is our policy, we will be charging the SAD residents 4.618. So that's 1 percentage point above the bond rate, the net interest costs of the bond. So the fact that we have a AAA rating help us get to a rate that was less than last year's rate. So again, I think that has a lot to do with the size of the offering as opposed to last year's, which was only a couple $1 million. This one was 18, and so it made a big difference. So what you've got in front of you or in your packet is a resolution to ratify the terms of the sale, and we ended up reducing the offering from 18.7 to 15.7. And the reason that we did that is because we received 1.2 million in prepayments. So there are residents in the village districts who decided to cut a check and pay off their assessment in full. So we have to subtract those out. There's a couple of residents who are appealing their assessment to the tax tribunal. By law, we have to pull those out. And the rest came in the form of a premium from UBS to lower the face value or par value of the bonds to 15.79, I think it is. So $15.8 million. And that's it. So I'm just asking for approval of this resolution that would ratify the terms of the sale and allow me to close on Wednesday.
Do you have any questions for Treasurer Schostak? If not, I'd look for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Barnett.
Thanks for the good description of everything that happened.
Sure.
Yeah, for handling that. Thank you. Support.
And support by trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That does pass. Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
Next, we have update on elections 2024 by Clerk Brook.
Great. Thank you, Supervisor Welsh. Things are really rolling along here at this time. I'm going to try to keep it quick too, covering some items that relate to elections. And, primarily there's some changes that have occurred in election law, and it's just important to get that out there so people know all of their rights that relates to elections so they can get out and make sure their votes are in. Next slide, Sean, please. So, elections are, as I've stated before, and we all know, they're community-driven events. Each time we have an election, we have roughly 225 different people who come in who are registered voters, and they help on the elections. Besides the requirement that they're a registered voter, they don't actually have to live in the township, but most do or did at one time and still come back here to vote. You also have to have no felony on your record and have background that is consistent with this type of detailed work. They're appointed by the Election Commission. The two members of those, three members are myself, the chair, Valerie Murray, and Neil Barnett, also who are trustees sitting here with me. Next slide, Sean. This is a couple pictures again of community and activities and some security items. On the right, there are election workers at the early voting site, which is the Township Library. On the left is the Election Commission meeting. It's the last meeting we had a public accuracy test back in February, where we test one of the machines a second time to ensure that it'll tabulate the ballots accurately. And you can see Val and Neil there working on putting the tabulation, the ballots through the tabulator to see that it will correctly tabulate. The last picture is the security cabinets that we have. I mean, we keep all the ballots locked up in there when we're not working on them that we get back that are absentee ballots, and we also keep all the election equipment in those. They're locked and secured at all times when they're not under my control. So that's an enhanced security feature that we've implemented in the last couple of years. So quick spotlight on the changes. We'll talk about a little bit more on the later slides, but first thing is there's a permanent mail ballot list. This is different than the permanent absentee list that's existed for the past decade. There are 3 election drop boxes around the township. Electors, individuals who want to vote can run their absentee ballot through the tabulator themselves personally. This is my favorite change, either during early voting or on election day. Now, early voting is in the Township Library, and it starts the second Saturday before each election and ends the Sunday before the election. So just a reminder, Monday is not an early voting day, Monday before the Tuesday, but the Sunday is. And we will start tabulating absentee ballots in advance of Election Day. That way we get them done quicker, we report results quicker on Election Day. So the next slide shows our drop box locations. Township Hall outside in the parking lot is one, Bloomfield Village Town Hall is another, and then Eastover Elementary, and that is the former Eastover Elementary on Westview, which is there because of a collaboration with the Bloomfield Hills School District to place the drop box there. The library collaborates to host our early voting site, and not only does the school district host this drop box, but most of our precincts are in a school. So, it's kudos to that collaboration that we have and has been longstanding. Okay, so when and where to vote. Of course, there's absentee. We know about that. A couple of years back, that went from having to have a reason to no reason, and you simply have to apply. Early voting is now in effect, and for all major elections, it's the 9 days prior to election, starting the second Saturday prior to Election Day. Every day it's 8:30 to 4:30, except for it's noon to 8 on Thursday. And of course, Election Day always starts at 7 a.m. and ends at 8 p.m. Now, the permanent mail ballot list is that's the new feature. You apply once and receive a ballot always. This list is maintained by my office and the state by tracking who remains eligible to be on the list. To get on the list, you have to sign an application. We review the signatures just as we do with the individualized application for an absentee ballot. And then people stay on this list as long as they qualify. And one of the reasons that they may be challenged is, for instance, if we mail election mail and it comes back, is returned to us, then that person would get on a challenge list and then be taken off the permanent mail ballot list because we have some information that they may no longer be eligible. The permanent AV list is again a list that's been around for more than a decade, and it is being phased out after this election season. Don't know exactly when. The state will make that decision and advise us locally when that'll happen. But we're working to transition people to the permanent mail ballot list as we can for those that are interested. We still do have about 8,000 people on the permanent AV list. Now, my favorite part about absentee voting is you can get an absentee ballot, you can use it, look at it at home, you can study the races, you can fill it out at home, and then you can bring it into early voting or election day and personally run it through the tabulator. Now, that happens only after first you apply, like everyone else does. You fill out an application to vote, that information is checked, we check your ID, or you fill an affidavit if you don't have ID. We check that the ballot you brought in to the early voting site or election day is the same serial number you were previously issued. If all of those things matched, then you're allowed to take that ballot you filled out at home and run it through a tabulator. Some quick deadlines that to hit on. July 26th at 5 p.m. in my office is the last opportunity to spoil an absentee ballot. So if you've already filled it out and returned it to my office, that's the deadline. It's 1 week sooner than it used to be. So that's the legal requirement that we have to comply with, 5 p.m. Friday the 26th. We're open at that time. Friday, of course, we're not normally open here in the township, but we will be open at that time because it's a deadline that people have a potentially will want to use to come in and spoil a ballot. Early voting, the actual dates, the 27th of July through August 4th. August 2nd, 5 p.m. is the Friday beforehand is last time to get an absentee ballot and have us mail it to them. I don't know why the state has that deadline, because if we mail you a ballot on Friday, doesn't seem likely that it will get it back for election day. But that's the deadline in the state law. August 5th at 4 o'clock is the last deadline to spoil an absentee ballot that you've not yet turned in. So if you've mismarked it, spilled coffee all over it, and you want to get another absentee ballot, you can do that the Monday before the election by 4 p.m. Why 4 p.m., not 5 p.m.? Well, because at that time we have to lock down the equipment, the reports, so that we know everybody's ballot who has been turned in and everybody's ballot who hasn't been turned in, and that information is provided to each precinct so they have that information and that takes several hours into the night to get that ready on election night or election evening. What would that be? Eve, I guess, right? Election eve. August 6th is the last chance to get that in. We have to get your absentee ballot back by 8 p.m. that day, either in a drop box or through the mail, or you drop it off personally. And if, however, you've dropped it off to us, we've timely received it, and we've advised you of a problem with the signature. Oftentimes this happens. People are in a rush. We see oftentimes people have not even signed it at all. If that's happened, you've got until Friday now at 5 p.m. to make that correction and have the ballot still tabulated. So the August voting, next two slides, this slide, the next one, are about how to fill out the ballot, which is really important. The August ballot is a primary election. Individuals are voting for which persons will represent the party on the November general election. We're not actually electing any individuals in August that are in these races, but picking who will be in the final ballot choice in November. State law requires that you vote in one column or another. You can only vote for the Democratic column or the Republican column. If you cross over in any one race, the entire partisan section of that ballot will be invalid. Now, if you vote in person, the tabulator will tell you this. And that's one advantage of taking your absentee ballot or voting in person. So the tabulator will tell you if you've made that mistake. You have an option to get the ballot back, take it to the election workers and get a new one. So remember, sometimes you have to check both sides of the ballot. There is nonpartisan issues on this ballot. a renewal, a straight renewal of the one of the Bloomfield Township public safety millages. And of course, we just heard from the new superintendent, Mr. West, here about the school district's issue as well. Now, write-ins are always available, but make sure if you're going to do that, you write in the candidate's name clearly as that would appear on a ballot, and fill out the rectangle. You have to do both things. And this would count if the person has properly filed and timely filed a write-in application with my office. So November is completely different. So why do people get confused? I don't know. You know, February was one setup, August is a different setup of how you vote, and November is different again. So November, you can vote any manner which you would like. You can do a straight ticket, just fill out the box at the top and then not vote for any other of the partisan slots. You can split your ticket. You can vote in a partisan, take the straight ticket option at the top of the ballot, and then select individual races that you'd like to cross over and vote in. That doesn't create an overvote situation. You have just still overridden the straight ticket choice with a selection in that one race. So that's called a split ticket. And a mixed ticket is someone who doesn't fill out the straight ticket option at the top of the ballot and simply votes each race down through the ballot. That's November. But however, August, you must select one column or another and stay in that column in order for the partisan section to count. So I don't know why it looks so strange.
To really make
So
sure
I'm
they
right.
saw that.
This is yes, right. This is like I'm like yelling. I'm sorry to be yelling, but this is overvoting again as someone where you have voted for more races, more individuals than are open, the seats that are open. If you do that in a particular race, that vote won't count. None of those votes will count. However, again, if you are voting in person, the tabulator will tell you if you have overvoted in any race, and you'll have an opportunity to fix that. Undervoting is not a problem. I don't encourage it, but if there's 4 open seats and there's 5 people running, there there's 4 votes to make. You could choose 3 if you wanted, and that's not a problem. Those would still count. That's called undervoting. Okay, so please, our goal is that we have every single person who's legally eligible to be registered to vote, and every single one of them votes. Bloomfield Township is known and renowned throughout the state for having very high voter turnout. So let's keep that up. A vote is in fact a terrible thing to waste. So when you think about it, if you start out voting at 18 and you live till 98 years of age, you've only had 19 to 21 opportunities to vote for president or governor or other important seats. So each one of these things is important. Thank you for entertaining me in this presentation. We're sending out we did a Coffee for Carrie podcast this morning on this topic. The summer newsletter cover these issues as well. And there's a mailer that'll go out later this month advising folks about these very issues about changes in election law and how to fill out your ballot. So the more we can get out there, information out there, the better. Thanks again.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next we have payroll and vouchers. Unless there's any changes, I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Murray,
Support.
support by trustee Kalinsky. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. And the last one is motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by clerk Brook,
Support.
support by trustee Kalinsky. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks.